Hello, I'm here with David Briggs. Can I please call you David?
Please do. Can I call you Yash?
Yes.
Excellent.
How old were you when you started playing the organ?
6.
Wow, that's a very young age.
Yeah. My granddad was quite a famous organist in Birmingham, and so I used to go and sit exactly where I'm sitting now, on the edge of the organ console, and I used to watch him play at the services. He used to love to improvise music, so to make music up as you go along. And I sort of fell in love with the instrument right back from a very, very early age. So when I was young, I had two choices, two things I really wanted to do. Number one was to be an organist, and number two was to be a pilot. And actually, when I was in my 30s, I was also a pilot. So I used to fly out of Shobden Airport in Herefordshire, where I was working then. But I just flew for about 8 years. But I still play the organ, so because it's sort of my life, really.
Do you have to be a Christian to play an organ because it's in a church?
What a fantastic question that is. The answer, the literal answer is no, of course not. I am, and I worked in 3 very famous cathedrals in England before I now live in New York, in the United States, but I worked in Hereford Cathedral, quite near Wales, and then down in Truro in Cornwall, and then I was organist of Gloucester Cathedral for 9 years. And if you're an organist of a cathedral in England, then there are 2 big responsibilities. Of course, playing the organ, but also you're responsible for the cathedral choir, because we used to sing evensong 6 days a week. So it's a very, very big and wonderful job.
Did you ever think that you'd want to be anything else?
Apart from a pilot, do you mean?
Yes.
No, I didn't. I'm very lucky to really do what I love to do as a job. There are a lot of people who aren't really in that position, aren't there, I guess. But I really love my job. So in a way, work is play, and I get to give about maybe 70, 75 recitals a year. And about half of those are in the United States, and half of them in Europe and Scandinavia. So I see a lot of very interesting places. But I think I've played in Croydon before. I've played at the Croydon Minster a few years ago, and it was then called Croydon Parish Church. And I also played the Royal School of Church Music. It used to be based at Addington Palace, which is just up the road. I think it's now a golf course, isn't it? The Addington Golf Course.
Yeah, sure.
But back in the 80s, it was the headquarters of the Royal School of Church Music. So I remember going there to give a recital and to do some teaching as well.
Is it true that you need to play the piano first before playing the organ because it's very hard?
Well, you can see on the instrument here we've got 3 different keyboards, and actually there is a 4th keyboard as well, which we play with our feet. So there's an old saying that you are only as good an organist as you are a pianist. So when I was your age, I was really working very hard on the piano to get the technique with your fingers, because I think it's much better to get the velocity and the strength and the accuracy and the touch on the piano, and then come to the organ, because when you play an instrument like this here at Trinity, there are all these different bits of technology which we have to put into our mentality, into our mindset, and so there's a lot to think about. So it's sort of important that you've got your fingers well sorted out with a good technique before you start the organ.
I play the piano and I'm grade 4. Would you
Fantastic.
think that I should start playing the organ?
Of course, yes. Maybe tomorrow. What about tomorrow? I think you can, but you should keep your piano technique going as well.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I was at school in Solihull near Birmingham, and I was very lucky to have a fantastic piano teacher. And anything I can do with my hands today, I really owe to her, from the technique that I got when I was a teenager and before I went to university. So, but if you want to start the organ, now's your chance, because you've got this great facility now, which you can come in, and this is what I used to do when I was at school, is go in after school and practice for an hour, and I used to really love doing that.
Did you have any other teachers except from your lovely teacher?
Yes, I had some great teachers at school. In fact, there was at Solihull, there were, at my time, I suppose it was in the, let me think, late 70s, early 80s, when I was at school, there were 4 schoolboy fellows of the Royal College of Organists in 5 years. And that's very unusual. There was a brilliant teacher, a guy called Colin Edmondson, who later became deputy head of Bolton School in Lancashire.
Yeah.
And he really enthused us, and he taught us not only to play the organ, but how to write music and how to write harmony and counterpoint and all the kind of theory of music. He was absolutely fantastic. I owe a lot to him. And then I was organ scholar of somewhere called King's College, Cambridge, which is
I know
a wonderful, one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. You know, this incredible Gothic chapel. And being there was a great training because, we have the very famous carol service that's broadcast to 350 million people every Christmas Eve. But also it's a lot more than that. I mean, we were trained to stay in the chapel until 2 o'clock in the morning to learn the notes, to be really more prepared than we thought we needed to be.
That's a long time.
It's a long time, huh? And, there's a very, very famous choir based at King's. And so it could be that there was somebody who would just hear the King's College Choir once in their lifetime. And that could have been like a cold, misty February Thursday afternoon or something like that, and that could be the day. So the services that weren't on the radio and on the TV were just as important as the big broadcasts.
Who inspired you to play the organ?
Well, I've always sort of really loved the instrument because of the sound, and also because of the, obviously all the different sort of sounds you can get. It's like one person playing a complete orchestra, and I hope in the concert tonight I can show some of the huge variety of colours that we have on an instrument like this Wyvern organ in Trinity.
What impact do you think this organ will make at Trinity School now we have it?
Oh gosh, I suppose, the most important thing is that it really acts as a catalyst, as a kind of really great thing in order to enthuse people like you and your colleagues here at school to start to learn the organ, because it's the best instrument. It's a most wonderful instrument, and because it's like one person in charge of a complete orchestra, and it's a great thing. And also here, the really good thing about it is that, of course, when you put it underneath choirs, put it underneath even the whole school singing, it's much, much better than the piano. If you've got hundreds of people singing.
Do you think, even though people haven't started the piano now, would they still be able to learn the organ?
I think they should learn a bit of piano first. Get to grade at least 4 or 5. Actually, I'll let you into a secret. So when I was 12, I was a choir boy at Birmingham Cathedral. I was desperate to start the organ, but the choir master of the cathedral said, no, you're not allowed to do the organ until you've got at least grade 7 on the piano. Wow. And I didn't like that at the time. I thought it was just like, I wanted to start. But actually, that was one of the best pieces of advice that I ever had, because, you've got to get good technique, really, before you start the organ. But you can start at grade 4 or 5, that's fine, but as long as you keep the piano work going alongside.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.